that fund and get a little bit more of the word vocation back into it. So if you want to really do something powerful, do something to help, do something to public service that links to all our other public services like education, health, etc. You know, you should have a vocation, and that's where you should go to the BBC. You know, if you want to become, you know, play the media game, or you want to have a stepping stone to Hollywood or whatever, well, there's other opportunities to do that. You know, and that's really what ITV used to be. You know, so that's a long-winded way of answering your question, but I think that's what the driver is really.
What do you think of Media City? I mean, what's your heartfelt view on Salford?
Well, my heartfelt view is that I'm old enough now, having been born in 1949, to have seen this. This is the third reincarnation of the BBC coming north, you know. And so I'll wait to see if it really happens. On the other hand, I think there's an opportunity there that we should all try and grasp. And in a sense, if we make enough noise and make enough use of it, they'll be forced to actually do it properly, you know. But and then on the other hand, let's not get hung up on the technology, because the technology is only a tool. And if they come to Salford and Media City, it's up to all of us to take advantage of it and help it develop, you know. So, you know, what Liverpool in particular has always been good at is creating content and taking advantage of whether it was early television in the 60s and 70s, you know, all those shows I mentioned, most of them were stimulated by Liverpool, whether it was 1980s music seed based when television was expanding, you know, and now it's the internet, so let's take it on. And I think the NorthernNet is interesting actually, because I think that might be actually more interesting in a sense that it can link up so many cities with its 100 megabyte to a gigabyte capacity in the future. What you've got there is a network that we could actually use in a lot more of ideas. So only one city needs to get Stephen Dawkins, and then every other city can plug straight into it. Right. I think that's really exciting about NorthernNet. Whether or not it will act as this kind of thing of like it's a really big pipe and you can go there and edit and send your stuff down, I'm not sure, you know, right? Because I do remember going back and then, or I remember rather, you know, because I was only born in 1949. But again, when they invented the telephone, I think it was Graham Bell who said, you know, this is a fantastic device that I predict there will be one in every town. So I think, you know, we're Virgin already or offering 50 megabyte broadband in various places. The technology's moving on. You know, when the optical net gets into the domestic market, you'll be thinking to yourself, well, what's it all about? But as a starter, yeah, it's up to us to make use of it.
Do you not think that storytelling and the content, as you said before, is going to suffer by new technology? And you said before 13 minutes, well, 30 minutes is fine. Do you not think a story has its course, it can run its course, and that the creative side is going to suffer by all this new technology?
No, not at all, because I think it's about storytellers. I mean, if you go back to the cave paintings, yeah, one of the things I always do, I gave a talk about this ages ago, but if you think about the cave painting, the amount of detail and complexity within the cave paintings is fantastic when you look at it. And what those guys actually captured, you know, is actually far and away ahead of a lot of artists today, right? So you start thinking, well, actually, who did it? Right. So if you think about no daylight, you know, so they're in the cave. So how are they doing it in the cave? They must have had some kind of fire or whatever. So the amount of time it took to do it, who was actually out fighting off the saber-toothed tigers and chasing the woolly mammoths? So therefore, you probably think that Zog, the woolly mammoth slayer, was out, but then Damien, you know, the cave painter, was at home. And Zog would say, I tell you what, I'll give you a really prime slice of back leg if you give me, you know, one of them paintings you did for Zugo? Yeah. I'll have one of them.
These Scouse cavemen?
Yeah.
That's a good series.
So, you know, so you start to think about the society, because again, we shouldn't be, as we've just now discovered a new civilization in South America, right? Yet another one. This arrogance that we know stuff, you know, because we've got computers and things, and well, society's back in a way back when still interacted. So you can imagine that there were cave painters and storytellers, right, being subsidised by the hunters and the killers. Because so I just think it's all about storytelling. It's all about, that's what it's about. It's not about technology. It's not about that. It's about storytelling. And very powerful drama comes out of one of the most simple tools on earth, and that's a pen and a paper, or out of the words of somebody talking. And then a lot of people then take it and build it up into these amazing technological scenes, but they ruin the story, right? And they ruin the whole tale, because they get the technology in the way. And that's the thing about Avatar, isn't it? Technically, it's fantastic, but Jimmy left the script at the door again, didn't he? So I don't think you should worry about that. If you've got something to tell, you've got a story to tell, it can be as simplistic as you like. And if it's a compelling story, that's content.
Yeah, and I worry about that with the success of 3D, people will go, well, how will that look in 3D? Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is coming out in 3D now. I like it the way it was. Are there any other questions? Yeah, over there.
Hi, Phil. Just going to ask, do you think there's any kind of media consumption that's immune to change or immune to technology? I only ask because we're obviously standing in front of a big advert for a live music event, and live music is one of those things that you only seem to be able to experience in the right way by actually being there, and that hasn't changed for hundreds and hundreds of years. You pay your money, you stand in a crowd, you feel the noise in your ears, you drink a beer, someone lands on top of you, whatever. It's that fundamentally doesn't change. So do you think that there are certain areas where the model it can't be changed?
I was nearly said the answer's in your own question, isn't it? Because you said live music's been going on for hundreds of years. I suppose the drunken sing song is about the only one. However, it's not as if because the drunken sing song is fueled by different types of alcohol, which is then dependent on the technology behind the brewing technique. And this is the thing. It's about, you hear that expression that we shape the tools and then the tools shape us. So every time we invent something, in some way, the nuance or slightly subtly changes us. So I think the answer is no. Everything changes. Everything moves on. But what doesn't change? What doesn't change is the way people come together and want to enjoy themselves. Right, so whether it's a lute or whether it's a electric Fender, they just want to come together and create music and create, or they want to talk with each other, or they want to sing, or they want to dance with each other. Dancing has changed because music changes, So it's the human interaction which never changes. It just subtly is interpreted slightly different because of the technology.
Yeah, the chap behind you. The key chap.
We're going to go to some people without any live soon who's been tweeting in, but before we go to them, Phil, I agree with you. I was trying to think of that link between music and film, really, because obviously music's my world. And I'm thinking about my son, who's 10 years of age now, 12 years of age, sorry, forgetting how old my son is. And it's perceived as a nerd if he has an album now, if he buys an album, or I give him a CD album, because, kids just consume everything now through their phones or through whatever bits of technology. And if you pay for it, you're perceived as an even bigger nerd, because you should get it absolutely for free. So I think there's definitely comparisons right across music, film, TV, and so on. Just following on from what Sol said before, really, do you see any other, you keep referring to your age as this kind of the year of 1949 and saying, and I still feel that hunger there. You talked about the fact you'd use apps maybe if you were still doing Brookside. What about the new movers and shakers, the new entrepreneurs, the new mavericks? Are you seeing anyone that excites you from this city or from the region and the kind of things that they're doing?
I've not been looking. That's the honest answer. When I was driving Mersey, I was always looking, and I had the teams and the networks were always out there looking. But as soon as I decided to get rid of all that, I haven't been looking really. So I couldn't answer that. But occasionally I do bump into people, and I think, they've got an interest in mind, and that's the thing. Because one of the mantras a bit early in Mersey television was that enthusiasm over experience.